Hello, and welcome to Let's Play Advance Wars. Today we're playing Campaign Mission 8. In previous episodes, we played through both versions of the Blue Moon campaign, the northern and southern paths through Blue Moon. Regardless of which path you choose, both of those paths meet again here at Mission 8. Looks like we're on the east coast of Blue Moon, close to its southern border with Green Earth. And we're meeting a new Orange Star CO today named Sami. She says, "Sorry I'm late. Andy, Max, and Special Advisor Sodruns, was it?" Andy says, "Who are you?" Sami says, "My name is Sami. I'm the Special Forces Commander. I was supposed to join you earlier, but my last mission ran long. Well, better late than never, right? I'm an infantry and mech unit specialist. My units can seize and secure new bases faster than any other COs. My transport units are top of the line too. Don't hesitate to deploy me and my troops as you see fit. I'm ready for action." Andy says, "Looking forward to working with you, Sami." Sami says, "That's the spirit. Oh, and I've got some information too. Word is that Olaf's forces are marching towards Yellow Comet. Let's go get them." Wait a minute, who's that? Alright, so now we can select our CO, and for the first time we have 3 choices of who to pick. Andy, Max, and Sami. And no matter who we pick, the battle is in the same location, so that means we get the same map. If we pick Andy, he says, "Those troops, could it be?" If we pick Max, he says, "It's that guy again, brother!" And if we pick Sami, she says, "This terrain is made for me." So Sami is actually the hardest of the 3 COs to pick for this mission, but it feels wrong to not play as Sami on a mission called Sami's Debut, so we're going with Sami. She says, "Do I have the command?" Mission 8, Sami's Debut. Day 1. Yes, we're hearing Sami's CO theme for the first time. This is one of my favorite CO themes in the game. Andy says, I think I've seen those guys before. Do you remember them, Sodruns?" "Yes." Sami says, "Those look like Green Earth troops. I've heard they have an independent battalion around. Maybe this is it. They're supposed to be really tough, especially the air units." Max says, "Outstanding! Sodruns, Sami, you both know your stuff. But how did you get this intel, Andy?" Andy says, "I ran into him once and..." Got an S rank on the mission. Sami says, "Hey, you survived, didn't you? That's pretty impressive, Andy." Max says, "Even with Sodruns' help, that's good work. Way to go, brother. Alright, let's roll." Alright, let's read the officer dossier for Sami. Infantry and mech units are superior. Movement range is high for transport units. Sami is a graduate of Special Forces training. She has a strong sense of duty. Hit, chocolate. Miss, cowards. And her quote, "Ready for duty." Her CO power is called Double Time. It increases movement range for infantry and mech units. Their movement cost on all terrain becomes 1. Alright, let's talk about Sami's stats. As her description suggests, she has very good infantry and mech units. Day to day, these units have plus 20 attack and plus 10 defense. Additionally, they have a unique skill. They can capture properties at 50% greater speed. So for example, a 10 hit point infantry will capture 15 capture points per turn. This has a number of interesting effects on the property capture gameplay. First of all, capture interruption is very difficult to do against Sami. If you assume that she starts with a full health infantry or mech unit, it will accomplish 15 capture points out of 20. So that means in order to prevent or interrupt the capture, you have to reduce that unit all the way down to 3 hit points or less in order to prevent the capture on the second day. Additionally, the 50% faster capture rate means that any infantry or mech that is 7 hit points or more can still complete a capture in 2 days. Sami's indirect units, artillery, rockets, missiles, and battleships, have normal stats, and her direct units, such as tanks, unfortunately have a 10% attack penalty, which is a little bit painful. And finally, her transport units, such as the APC, transport copter, and lander, have +1 movement per turn, which helps a little bit in getting infantry to the front lines. Alright, let's talk about Sami's CO power. It's called Double Time. It's one of the cheapest in the game at a cost of 25,000. It gives her infantry and mech units +1 movement and reduces their terrain cost to 1, regardless of weather. So that means that infantry can move 4 spaces, regardless of terrain and weather, and mechs can move 3 spaces, regardless of terrain and weather. This can lead to situations where the infantry and mech units can easily cross adverse terrain like mountains and rivers, potentially inflicting severe damage on the enemy, particularly behind their lines. Infantry and mech also receive a 50% attack and 30% defense bonus, which is quite significant. In later games, Sami has a super CO power called Victory March, which allows her to capture properties in a single turn, regardless of hit points. However, it's important to know that in Advance Wars 1, Sami does not have this ability. In this game, she only gets the Double Time, which boosts the power of her infantry and mechs. Alright, let's take a look at the map. It's about twice as long east to west as it is tall north to south. And you can see that there are 4 rivers, which mostly run in a north to south direction. Lots of forest and mountains on this map as well. Here's a view on the mini-map. And of course we can see that it's a Fog of War map as well. I start in the southwest with a moderate-sized land army, a few tanks and artillery, a missile unit, 2 anti-airs, and some infantry. I also start with 2 battlecopters and 2 transport copters, as well as a fighter jet. There are no production facilities on the map, so I need to make these units last. Eagle has a substantial number of air units on this map, at least 3 each of bombers, fighters, and battlecopters. As Sami, it's going to be a challenge dealing with Eagle's air units, because my own direct combat units are 10% weaker than normal. That means weaker anti-airs, battlecopters, and fighter jet. And all of Eagle's air units have 10% extra defense. It is absolutely essential that I keep all of my air defense units alive and protected. My basic strategy is going to be to proceed along the road towards Eagle's HQ, which is in the northeast, and then perform an HQ capture using my transport copters and infantry. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fighter jet and shoot at the northernmost of Eagle's 2 battlecopters that I can see. The damage predictor only says 81%, which is pretty sad. My fighter has 10% less attack, and Eagle's battlecopter has +10 defense. But we're just going to make do. Salvo of air-to-air missiles only reduces it to 2. Go ahead and take my other 2 battlecopters and shoot at the Healthy Eagle battlecopter in the south. First engagement reduces it to 5. Mine takes 3 hit point damage on counterattack, and then the other one should finish it off. Alright, I'm going to move up my mechs and infantry towards the north. The goal is to capture these cities up here. I'm going to keep my missiles near my HQ hidden in this forest tile and hope that Eagle blunders one of his Air Force units into its kill range. The other two anti-air I'm just going to hide in these forests here. Move up my other land troops the best I can. Alright. Day 1 for Eagle. Eagle says, "The Orange Star Army, Andy's troops. This time I won't be beaten by Andy and his ilk. I shall crush them with one stroke." Hear the ominous noise of jet engines out in the fog. Brings his 2 hit point battlecopter up to shoot at my transport copter, reducing it to 8. He moves a tank out of the fog to shoot at my battlecopter, reducing it to 9, and the counterattack reduces the tank to 7. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and continue moving my stuff forward. Move my guys forward. I'm gonna try to utilize the forest as much as I can, but the simple fact of the matter is that a lot of my stuff is going to die in this mission, and there's not really a lot I can do about it. I'll just try to keep my air defense alive as much as I possibly can. Day 2 for Eagle. Brings an infantry up to capture a city. Brings up a bomber to one-hit kill my APC on the road. Don't like to see that. Rolls a tank forward as well. Fortunately, this bomber I can easily kill. I'll use my fighter first to reduce it to 2 HP. Then I'll finish it off with an anti-air. Start capturing these 2 cities up here with my infantry. Notice how on the context menu there's a little star next to capture. That is a visual indicator that Sami has increased capture abilities. And notice that she reduced the capture to 5 capture points remaining after the first day. 15 capture points. I'm going to move up a mech and fire upon the tank in the road, reducing it to, I believe, 3, and taking only 1 HP on counterattack. That's pretty good. Finish it off with the other mech. Alright. Day 3 for Eagle. Oh! Here we go. It's time for lightning strike. Brings his fighter in to destroy a transport copter. Brings up another bomber. Another full-strength bomber to not quite 1 hit, but reduce my infantry on the city down to 2. He says, "I will pull no punches." Lightning strike. Now his air units get to move again. They are considerably weaker, though. And his fighter jet reduces the transport copter to 1, does not kill it. The bomber takes aim at my medium tank. Reduces it to 1. It normally would have been a one-hit kill, but all units on the second phase of Lightning Strike have significantly weaker stats. Alright, that was a little bit painful, but it was also fortunate because none of my air defense units took any damage. And I now am able to kill this fighter and bomber quite easily on this turn. So we'll shoot with the missiles first. Since on the second phase of Eagle's Lightning Strike, all of his units have terrible defensive ratings, I am able to one-hit kill the fighter with the missiles. Wasted. I'm not going to use my anti-air against the bomber. I will use my fighter jet. Fighter jet is able to one-hit kill the bomber. Finish capturing the city with my infantry. The other infantry got reduced to 2 hit points, so he is not able to capture on this turn. He will capture it next turn, though. Move up my mech units. I only have one transport copter still alive, and it has a single hit point, so I'm going to try to protect him as much as I can. Trying to keep my anti-airs in the forest as much as I can. Day 4 for Eagle. Doesn't do a whole lot. Starts capturing another city. Now I can move in and start opening up a can on this infantry, for what it's worth. Reduce him to 5 with my tank. I'll finish him off with the mech. I'm pretty sure there's another bomber ready to just swoop in out of nowhere and one-shot one of my units, so I'm still being very careful with my anti-airs, keeping them hidden in the woods. And I'm keeping my fighter kind of in the back as well. Put my medium tank on the city to heal up a little bit. Day 5 for Eagle. Oh, battlecopter comes in out of nowhere. Slapping my tank around a little bit, reducing it to 3. Kind of annoying, but not particularly devastating. Because I will still be able to destroy the battlecopter with my anti-air, like so. Put these 2 cities under capture here with my mechs. Continue moving my infantry up, keeping my anti-air in the forest, out of harm's way as much as I can. Day 6 for Eagle. I know there's a bomber that's just going to swoop out of the fog. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's in this area somewhere. Finish capping these 2 cities here. Still advancing my units carefully. Day 7 for Eagle. Does nothing. Alright, so to win this, I'm going to want to transport one of my infantry or mechs across this river to the enemy HQ. But I have to make sure that there aren't any lurking land or air units around that will ruin that plan. So that's what I'll go for in the next couple turns. Oh, there it is. There's the fighter jet destroying my transport copter. Now I don't have any T-copters left, but I can still fairly easily get my infantry across the river. It's just going to take a little bit longer. I'm still going to hold off on my power. I will use my fighter. Oh god, that... it's so bad. It's so bad. My fighter only does a 44% predicted damage against eagles. So it's almost going to be an even damage match. Let's do it anyway. Reduces his to 6, reduces mine to 7. Ugh, that's terrible. Move my other land units up. Day 9 for Eagle. Using his fire to take aim at my battlecopter, reducing it to 0. Surprised that was a one-hit kill. Moves a medium tank up. It's the same one that shot at my battlecopter before. Shoots at my mech, only reduces it to 6, and he takes 3 on the counterattack. Pretty bad engagement for that tank, actually. Fortunately, I am now able to destroy that pesky fighter jet with my missiles, which I will do with extreme prejudice. Wasted. Keep on marching my infantry towards the enemy HQ. Start capping a green city over here, and I should be able to kill this tank with the same mech that it shot at before. Boom, that was pretty satisfying. Day 10 for Eagle. Now's probably a good time to use my CO power, because I can make this infantry here move 1, 2, 3, 4 onto the enemy HQ. So let's go ahead and do that. Double time! Move the infantry onto the HQ for the capture, reducing it to 5 capture points. And then I'll bring in my air units as sort of a screen. Hopefully that'll be enough to prevent this infantry from getting messed up by any defending units. Finish capping that green city. And we'll just leave the rest of my units alone for the rest of the turn. Day 11 for Eagle. He does not have any means to defend his HQ with. So that means I can put this green city under capture just for fun, and then complete the HQ cap for the win. Eagle says, "Huh, I, Eagle, beaten by Andy again?" Sami says, "Who are you calling Andy?" Eagle says, "Huh?" Sami says, "I think I'll take offense at your mistake. Do I look like a boy to you?" Eagle says, "Huh, who are you?" Sami says, "The name's Sami. I'm an Orange Star CO." Eagle says, I lost to a girl?" Sami says, "You're careless. That's why you keep losing. I don't think you're ready for war. You need to go back to basic training." Eagle says, "Excuse me, Orange Star CO, Sami?" Sami says, "Yes?" Eagle says, "I would like to apologize for my behavior. It was inappropriate." Sami says, "Oh, okay." Eagle says, "I vow by my lucky goggles that the next time we meet, I will do better. Now I will take my leave. Ha, farewell." Sami says, wait a minute. No one said you could leave." He's gone. He seems like a pretty decent guy after all. Sami says, "Now it's on to Yellow Comet." And I got an A rank. Kind of a lower technique score than I'm used to because I lost a bunch of units. And my speed ranking was not the best, but this is a pretty tough mission, so I'll take that A. Onto the rank screen. Oh, we ranked up. I am now rank 92, Rose Rat. Onto the save screen. That's going to wrap it up. Peace.